Yeah, there we go. Ooh, another good one.
Hi, Peter Charles here of Hooked for Life Fly Fishing. And today let's tie one of my favorite Clouser patterns. I've used it a lot in Cape Cod. I didn't come up with this particular pattern, a friend did. And I don't think he ever gave it a name, so I'm calling it Pamet River Special. Mostly because it's the first time I ever used it, and I caught a bunch of fish on it. None of them big, they were all schoolies, but you know, it's a lot of fun when you catch a load. It's a straightforward pattern, it's just like any other Clouser, there's nothing special about it. It's really just the pattern of colors that seems to work quite well. And it's done well enough for me that other anglers have come along and said, what are you using, you know? So it's a good pattern, and so let's get going. Now, before I get started, though, I should say one thing. I don't make a big effort to make my saltwater Clousers very neat, and this is kind of like the reason why. This poor thing has got chewed up in the surf. I mean, it's totally battered. There's hardly any bucktail left on it. So, I mean, if you invest a lot of time and then use them in the surf, I mean, you know, I don't know what, that was maybe 15, 20 minutes of maybe a couple of hours. I don't know, I don't remember. And the poor thing has definitely seen better days. So I just keep it around as a reminder not to get too fancy with my Clousers. Okay, so what are we going to use for material? Our hook is going to be sort of a basic saltwater standard shank, 2/0, you know, 2 extra heavy. We're going to use you know, regular Clouser eyes. Our thread is this Danville monofilament fine. I use monofilament, as you can see. Where is it? You can see the colors coming through on it, and so by using mono thread, you sort of retain the colors of the material you're using. And then I've got 4 colors of bucktail. You know, pink, chartreuse, this sort of sage brown or gray, and pink. And I'm going to use this lateral scale. I like this stuff. I mean, I'm going to have to get more. I'm almost done of it. So let's get going and get our mono started. It's slippery stuff, so you know it will move around on you a little bit. Now check to make sure it is straight and square. Now we're going to drop a little bit of CA glue on it. Just don't get too gung-ho with it though, because it goes everywhere and you end up sticking yourself to the fly. Now put a few more wraps in here. That helps trying to keep the head in place, because when you're fishing the surf and you keep whacking it into the rocks and you're pulling it up and into the sand and the pebbles and what have you, the poor Clouser eyes end up all over the place. Okay, once we got it to that stage, we're going to put in our white. My poor white's been well picked over, so we're down to the dregs. As usual, get rid of the short stuff. If you're going to need bits, get rid of them. Now in the back, just put some loose wraps to keep that air from splaying. Make sure it's even on the hook shank and not rolling to one side or the other. Now bring your mono back, turn it upside down. Now we'll put on our fish scale. You just need a few strands. Find the midpoint. Pull it on either side of the hook, so you have an equal amount on either side. You sort of more want it on the sides rather than buried in the middle of the material. Now we'll go for the pink and be delicate with this. Don't put a huge hank of it. It's meant to be an accent, not a bold statement. I'll just put a few wraps in there and make sure it looks even on either side. You don't want it sliding off to one side. Now I've got some strays in there. I'll just come in and cut them off. And I just use my bodkin and separate on either side of the hook. There you go. I always keep checking to make sure they're more or less even. You want that color to appear on both sides. Okay, now for the chartreuse. Make sure it's on top and not rolling to one side. There we go. Again, separate on either side of the hook. And finally for our, I guess you can call this sort of a grayish olive color. Again, make sure it's even on top, then bind it down. And your last wrap should be quite smooth and even and not too tight, because you don't want that bucktail flaring. Separate it again. Okay, let's finish it off. You can use epoxy, or you could put some UV on it, whatever your preference. But we just need that to seal it in, and there's our Pamet River special ready to go. And you can see, when we look at this, you can see the pink, the chartreuse, the white, and that gray olive all show through well. You don't be in a situation where you're missing a color on one side, and you can see it works out fine. So there we go, the Pamet River special. As I say, caught tons of schoolie bass on it, and even a few decent keepers too. It's a great pattern. It's not my invention. It's a friend's invention. I'm just giving it the name. So give it a try. It really does work. And I've had enough people come up to me and ask me what I've been using, so you know when you get that question, you know it works well. So give it a try. Cheers.